Sometimes the best conversations between strangers allow the stranger to remain a stranger.
Welcome to Truism.
Yeah, man. Today we're going to talk about talking to strangers.
Talking to strangers.
Talking to strangers. Are you the kind of guy that can just go up and talk to anybody? You extrovert or introvert?
I am a extrovert. I can talk to just about anybody. Yep. What about yourself?
Not me, man.
Not
me.
Why's that?
I've never been a talker.
Oh.
I'm not.
You've never been a hugger either.
No, no, sir.
Yes.
No, sir.
Yes, that's the truth. That's the truism
that is
right
the
there.
Truth.
There
yes,
you
sir. Yeah, no, I just never really. I love listening to people. I like hearing people's stories and stuff.
Yeah.
One of my favorite books is called Life is So Good by George Dawson.
Hmm.
He wrote the book when he was like 102 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's just his life story. And he's just an ordinary dude.
Wow.
He's black, and he was raised in the South in Texas.
Oh, okay. That's
so he's got, from 1898.
Wow, he's seen a lot of life.
He's seen something.
Wow. So write a book at 102 years old.
Yeah, well, he learned to read at 100.
How is that?
Go read the book.
I will read the book, yes.
But yeah, he's an ordinary guy. So I've always liked ordinary people, and I like listening to ordinary people.
Yep.
All that to say, I don't like doing the talking part.
Right.
I like doing the listening part.
Okay. So should we introduce ourselves? What do you think?
No, man, we're going to stay strangers.
All right. I'm all right with that.
We had a little intro episode. Here we are in this episode, and I think we're talking about strangers. We ought to stay strangers.
Let's do it.
Except we teach our kids never talk to strangers, right?
That's true, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, that's a truism, isn't it?
It is a truism.
It's inarguable. You don't want your kids talking to strangers.
That's true.
It's obvious.
It's obvious, yep.
But here we are talking to strangers. As adults, you kind of figure out real quick that
you can't. It's unavoidable.
Can't avoid it.
Yeah, unavoidable.
Talking to strangers. Yeah. So that quote at the beginning: sometimes the best conversations between strangers allow the stranger to remain a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
It came from Malcolm Gladwell's book called "Talking to Strangers."
Go figure.
I just read it just a little bit ago. Honestly, because I'm an introvert, right? I don't like talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, maybe that book will help me learn how to talk to people. It was not about that at all.
What was it about?
Well, it was about talking to strangers, but it wasn't like, 3 steps to go learn how to talk. Like, it wasn't about how to talk to strangers at all. Okay. It was more about, like, our interactions with people and how we have preconceived notions on other people and how we approach things from our perspective, not others' perspectives. And that kind of thing is what I took from it. And it's a super good book. But there's 2 books you got to go read this week.
Thank you, sir.
Life is So Good.
That's right.
And Talking to Strangers.
Absolutely.
I'm going to read that author's note.
All right.
From the book, Talking to Strangers.
Mm-hmm.
He said, it's short, so it won't take too long, but Malcolm Gladwell starts out with the author's note. He says, many years ago when my parents came down to visit me in New York City, I decided to put them up at the Mercer Hotel. It was a bit of mischief on my part. The Mercer is chic and exclusive, the kind of place where the famous and the fabulous stay.
Mm.
My parents, and particularly my father, were oblivious to that kind of thing. My father did not watch television or go to the movies or listen to popular music. He would have thought People magazine was an anthropology journal. His areas of expertise were specific: mathematics, gardening, and the Bible.
Very simple.
Yeah. He said, I came to pick my parents up for dinner and asked my father how his day had been. Wonderful, he said. Apparently, he had spent the afternoon in conversation with a man in the lobby of the hotel. What did you talk about? I asked. Gardening, my father said. Well, what was his name? I have no idea, but the whole time people were coming up to him to take pictures and have him sign little bits of paper. So Malcolm Gladwell ends the author's note with this. He says, If there's a Hollywood celebrity reading this who remembers chatting with a bearded Englishman long ago in the lobby of the Mercer Hotel, please contact me. For everyone else, consider the lesson. Sometimes the best conversations between strangers allow the stranger to remain a stranger.
It kind of reminds me of a story just recently here in OKC where there was an Uber driver, a Lyft driver. I believe it was Lyft. This customer happened to be Mike Rowe. I don't know if you know Mike Rowe, right? Very, very popular guy. You know, the driver was oblivious to this. He had no idea who he was, you know. They're having casual conversations, and Mike Rowe made an Instagram post or something like that, and explaining the pleasant conversation they were having.
Yeah,
you know,
I do remember that.
Yeah, and so the driver owned a business, small business. He'd made trailers, like just small little cab trailers,
custom
like
trailers,
campers or something like that.
Yeah.
Custom trailers. After this Instagram post, Mike Rowe put the guy's name up, and it went viral. He started getting business.
The guy was doing he did the Uber or Lyft or whatever on the side to make ends meet.
Right.
Business,
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And so it helped his business tremendously just because he was talking, you know, to Mike Rowe. Had no idea who the guy was until the very end when he says, "Hey man, I think, you know, you look very familiar." Yeah. He's like, "You look familiar." And he's like, "Yeah, well, I'm Mike Rowe." And just imagine the conversation. Had he known it was Mike Rowe in the beginning, it would have been way different. Oh yeah, it would have been completely
Instead
different.
of allowing Mike Rowe to ask him the questions, he probably would have been like, "Hey, so tell me about this. Tell me about
what you're into.
The scholarship program you got going."
Right? Yeah.
He'd probably grill him.
Yeah.
Grill him.
I mean,
instead of
just it goes well with that author's
connecting.
Note, you know, it's very.
Sometimes the best conversations between strangers allow the stranger to remain a stranger.
That's right.
I guess it works if you're a famous person.
That's very true.
Yeah, being able to open up and have that conversation with somebody when you don't know who they are.
I think I would do it on purpose if I were to meet a celebrity.
You think so?
Yeah, I just kind of, you know, I don't think I'll be starstruck or anything. I just kind of be like, "Hey, you know, how's your day going, man?"
I wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And you know, I think about. When I'm reading the Bible sometimes, you know, you try to think about how they received it then, you know.
Yeah.
We get to look back at the Bible and see how it all happened.
Of course.
So we know sometimes some of the things that they didn't. And so thinking of strangers, the road to Emmaus, what am I like? Well, it's just a cool story to begin with, but it's up there for me. I just love it. In Luke 24, basically, this is the first Easter. It's the day, you know, Jesus rose from the dead. And the road to Emmaus, there's two people walking on the road, and they're discussing what's been happening in Jerusalem and Jesus' death and his burial. And now here there's this empty tomb in there. They're talking about that. And as they're talking, this stranger walks up to them. And we know who the stranger is.
Of course.
Jesus.
Right.
But they don't know that. He's just a stranger to them. And he walks up, and Jesus, the stranger, he says, What are y'all talking about? And why are y'all sad? What's the matter?
What's going on? Yeah.
What's the matter? Like, of course, they don't know he's Jesus, but the stranger comes up and shows them that he cares about them. Like, yeah, you're right. I mean, hey, what are you guys sad about?
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah.
What's going on? Why are you? Not too many people do that.
Right.
Probably ever, right? I mean, you're not going to approach a stranger usually and say, hey, what's the matter? But he walks up. What are you guys talking about? Why are you sad? And again, this is a stranger coming up to these people. And the Bible says that, he calls him Cleopas. Cleopas answers. He's like, where you been? Everybody knows what's going on in Jerusalem.
Yeah, for the last couple of days.
Everybody's talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
How that.
And Jesus is just playing along with it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, where you been? What you been hiding? Everybody knows what's happened here in Jerusalem.
Yep.
And Jesus like, I don't know what you're talking about. What's happened in Jerusalem? Cleopas goes on. And he says, well, Jesus, the chief priest and the rulers, they killed him. nailed him to a cross. He's dead. We thought he was our Redeemer.
Yeah.
And the priest killed him. Not only that was 3 days ago.
Yeah, like, where have you been?
And they had to guard the tomb and all that. Now the tomb is empty. And even like the ladies that were going to the tomb this morning found it empty. And then others went and checked it out, and it was empty.
Yep.
And they're like, nobody knows where Jesus went. And, what'd they do to his body and all that? And he was supposed to be our Redeemer. And they're so frustrated and sad, apparently, because that's what are you sad about? Jesus' response, though, he didn't say, here I am.
Yeah.
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 He doesn't like, hello.
Right.
I'm right here. He's still just a stranger to him. And he says, you fools. Oh, fools.
Oh, fools.
Slow of heart to believe. He's a stranger to them.
Wow.
Okay, so first this guy comes up and he's, hey, why are you guys sad? He's all, and then he's like, you fools.
In a matter of minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Switches real quick.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then Jesus goes on and he's like, these things had to happen if Jesus was the Redeemer.
Yep.
He's like, that's what the Bible, and then he starts at Moses and he goes all the way through to Malachi.
Yep.
The prophets and goes through all of what, expounding on himself without revealing who he is. He's just being a stranger, staying a stranger. And their response was pretty good because, like, Jesus walks up to you and just says, hey, what are you sad about? And you tell him, and he's like, oh, what do you been? What? You fool!
You fool!
These guys, they took it. Well, I mean, they had him over for dinner. He's like, "Oh, come on, have dinner with us."
After he called him a fool, yeah.
But he still is. They don't know it's Jesus.
They don't know it's Jesus.
They don't know it's Jesus until they're sitting there at dinner. And I don't know. Maybe I should look it up or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it looks like when Jesus broke the bread, the Bible says when he broke the bread and said the blessing, that they recognized him.
They knew.
Yeah, like, you think they were there at the feeding of the 5,000?
It could possibly have been there.
And then, like, I don't know, at my house, we kind of say the same.
Yeah, the same normal prayer that
over the.
So you can get to your food real quick.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a speed contest. But
who can pray the fastest?
But, Jesus, it wasn't like that, right?
No.
But maybe he said the same thing or he held the bread the same way or whatever. But when that happened, they were like, oh,
it clicked in their mind. Yeah, of course.
Wow, this is Jesus. And then, like, as soon as they recognized it,
he's gone.
He's gone.
Gone with the wind.
He's gone.
Yeah.
He disappeared. And they're like, oh, we knew it.
Yeah.
We knew it.
How did we not know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're kicking themselves. Yep. We blew our chance.
Yep.
Like, as we walked along the way, didn't our heart burn within us, they said?
Oh, yeah, that's what they said.
Like, we knew. We felt it. We felt it, but we didn't realize it was him. So, man, yeah, you talk about, then they felt like a fool, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, just imagine the bombardment if he would have told him who he was in the beginning. The amount of people that would approach him and
it would have been totally different.
It would have been completely different.
I guess it would have been just like the deal with Mike Rowe, where instead of Jesus talking to them, it would have been them talking to Jesus.
Right. Yeah. And he was there to show them that he is the Redeemer.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So that's good stuff.
Now the response again is pretty cool. Like these guys, whoever they were, their response throughout this deal was pretty neat, right?
Yeah.
So at first the response is, where you been? Where you been hiding? What do you mean you don't know about this? And then their response is, come have dinner with us. And then their response is, oh no, we missed our opportunity.
Yeah.
But then they get up and they go out and they get to his disciples and they're like, hey, this is real. This is happening.
Yeah, he's alive.
Jesus is alive.
He's alive. And you know what? There's another very, very familiar Bible story in John chapter 4 where, Jesus kind of does the same thing. He just walks up to a well. There's a lady standing there. He's like, give me the drink, And imagine just some random guy, to us, he's not random, but to her, whose name isn't mentioned. Just so she's a stranger, he's a stranger in this scenario.
They're strangers.
And give me the drink, right? Just randomly say that. Just imagine that, right? And they just have a conversation, and he's telling her.
Well, yeah, she was like, "Well, why are you even asking me for a drink?"
Yeah, like you're a Jew.
You're too good for me.
Yeah, I'm a Samaritan. We have no dealings.
She didn't know he was Jesus, but she knew he was a Jew.
She knew he was a Jew, right? Maybe they all dressed alike. Who knows? But two complete, strangers, right? And they're talking, and he's telling her, this water's gonna, basically saying this water's gonna you're gonna stay thirsty if you drink this water,
right? You got to come back for more.
Yeah, you're gonna keep coming back. Now, if you drink the water that I give you, you never thirst again, And I think, little by little, it starts clicking in her head, like throughout this whole conversation, it's starting clicking in her head, And then he reveals her life to her, about her husbands and all this.
Yeah, he got all up in her
all
business.
All up in her mix. But like I said, during this conversation, I'm like, when he reveals that to her, for me, I believe that she finally okay, it's like it's starting to click,
It clicked, yeah.
Yeah. But could you imagine somebody just come up to you, ask you to drink, and then say that water, it's gonna keep you thirsty. You're gonna keep coming back for more. But
I can't say that.
That's funny. But you're gonna keep coming back for more. But the water I'll give you, you'll never thirst again. Two strangers talking to strangers,
Yeah, and her response was just like the strangers on the road to Emmaus too.
Yeah,
when she found out, when she realized.
Oh yeah, she went
and told.
Yeah, she went and told the whole city.
Brought them all out to see him.
Yeah. This is him.
That is good stuff.
Yeah.
When you realize, when you've had an encounter with Jesus, whether you're sitting there on the well, and you realize it, you realize this guy is the Messiah. The response is like that woman's response was to go share it, to go tell somebody, to go bring somebody. She probably wasn't proud of what he said, but she wanted others to know this is him. And because she realized it in the moment, she didn't want to lose that moment. The other people, the folks on the road to Emmaus, they had the same response, but it was a little bit too late for them from that perspective where they couldn't share it immediately. But once they realized that they had an encounter with Jesus, they went right on ahead and found his disciples and shared it. When we realize we got an encounter with God Almighty, it's our job, it's our duty, it's our natural response to share it. We've got to share this truth with everybody we know. Whenever you realize it, whenever that light bulb goes off, Acts 1:8, after that you have received the Holy Ghost, you shall receive power to become witnesses. That's the response when you realize that encounter that you just had. Yeah, we got to work this in here too. Jesus didn't go around. He did this a lot. He didn't go around saying, "I'm Jesus. I'm here to save the world. I'm here to conquer, death, hell, and the grave." He didn't go around and say that. He went around and did stuff. He healed people. He talked to people. He loved people. He went ahead and after doing stuff, then he would say, thy sins are forgiven and stuff like that. Like he didn't proclaim himself. And so many times, like we need to go about and be busy doing the will. When he did the will of even at the well, he said that, right? To do the will of my Father. That's my meat. That's why he sent the disciples away to go get food. And when they came back, they were like, yeah. So it's doing the will, not talking about it, not proclaiming, I'm this, I'm that. That's not how Jesus did it. It was being a stranger and letting that revelation happen, letting those eyes open. And that's we've got to do the same thing. Let the eyes open by what we do. Greater works than these shall ye do. Sometimes that anonymity.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say that word.
You said it right.
Anonymity.
Mm-hmm.
That really let the messages be received.
Right. Remaining anonymous.
Right.
Right.
Remaining a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
Letting the stranger remain a stranger.
Right. Because she would have.
She had those
she would have bombarded him with questions, right?
Well, and she had the preconceived ideas just from him being a Jew.
Just from him being a Jew, she's Samaritan. Like, she just already assumed that they shouldn't be talking, and you know, the conversation would be completely different if she knew who he was. 100%.
You know, Jesus faced that earlier in life too. Like, he did not many miracles there because of their unbelief in his as he was coming up. Mm-hmm. Can anything good come out of Nazareth?
Can anything good come out of Nazareth?
You know, he faced those preconceived ideas when people did know who he was. So he had to sometimes remain a stranger. Right. Oh, this is just a carpenter. Isn't this the carpenter's son?
Yeah.
Like, he can build us a chair. I mean,
he can't redeem us.
Woo, yeah. Like, they minimized him when they knew.
Right. Preconceived notions,
preconceived ideas. Yeah. It's easy to get those mixed up. So what do you think? You agree that sometimes the best conversations between strangers
100%.
Man, you know what? I want to end with a question.
What do you got?
I'll ask you a question and you ask me a question because we're still strangers to these folks.
Okay.
I want to know, man, you have any encounters with famous people?
I've had one back in, I was a young pup. I'm still kind of young, but I was younger.
You are a young pup.
I was still kind of young. But I was at a Texas OU game at the state fair.
Oh, this is back when you was in the world, man.
You know, we see a guy walking out. It's a group of me and my friends. We see a guy walking out, and he just comes in our circle. You know, just having casual conversations. You know, kind of didn't know who he was. You know, until one of my buddies realized who it was. But this was after the whole conversation, right? So the guy walks off. He's going into the stretch limo, and then people, you know, like kind of seen him and kind of try to go towards him and stuff like that, but he's like rushing to the limo, whatever. And my buddy's like, "Oh, I know who that is. That's Tom Arnold." Tom Arnold is like scratching my head, and it clicked in my head at the end. Like, he used to have a sports show back in the day, like where he'd have different sports personalities come and just share whatever they were talking about that day. But that's what he was there for. He was there for the Texas OU game. And he left kind of early before.
And he went and hung out with you guys.
He sat there for a good maybe 2 to 5 minutes, something like that, and just.
And you didn't even really know who he was?
I didn't know who he was, and I think
till the paparazzi showed up.
And I think that he needed it. You know, just like we were talking about. You know, people need that stuff. You know, just 2-3 minute conversations about not their job. So yeah. I believe he was pleased. He probably doesn't remember us, but you know.
I bet whoever Malcolm Gladwell's dad was talking to really enjoyed just being able to.
Oh yeah.
Talk about gardening.
Oh yes.
And yeah, he probably just liked that. Just.
What about you?
Cool.
What about you?
What about me?
Have you ever encountered any
famous people?
Famous people. What do you got?
Famous people and me. Yeah, there's been a few times.
What do you got? Let's hear it.
Man.
Since you don't talking to strangers, let's hear this.
So there's actually 2 different times, though, that I can be dumb sometimes, sir. I did some pretty crazy things in high school, like just weird, you know, just goofy stuff.
Yeah, you're a teenager.
Yeah, just goofy stuff. But anyhow. Yeah, there's been a couple times that I've encountered some famous people, but it wasn't like an incognito famous person kind of deal. Okay. Like, I knew what I was doing. You know, Toby Keith, he just recently passed away, big time Oklahoma
he did
country
recently
singer person.
Wow.
Yeah. So he lived in Moore. He lived in my friend's neighborhood. And my friend said, "Hey, Toby Keith lives over there." I'm like, "Nah, he don't." He's like, "Yeah, he does." And he showed me like their neighborhood directory or whatever. And I'm just an idiot, man. So, you know, I went up and knocked on Toby Keith's door. And
did he answer the door?
He did not answer the door. His daughter answered the door. She's a few years younger than me. His daughter answered the door. And I was like, "Hey, does Toby Keith live here?"
What'd she say?
Man, he came out, signed. No, she said, he don't live here.
No.
Slammed the door right in my face.
Who is this stranger?
Yeah. Yeah. So I did not actually have an encounter with him, I guess, because he wasn't there.
Right.
Or she said he wasn't there, right?
That's a good one.
Who knows? But then this other time I was in high school, and my mom lived in Tulsa, and I lived here in Moore. I lived in Moore. And so I would go up and visit my mom and stuff. And one time I was headed back to Oklahoma City, about to get on Turner Turnpike up there in Tulsa and head back toward the city. And there was a Kmart off of I-44 up there, right in Tulsa.
Oh, Kmart, huh? That's
back in the day.
That's old school, man.
Back in the day. And down in I like country music back then. And like down in the parking lot, I saw a tour bus it was Doug Stone's tour bus. He was another 80s, 90s
country singer?
Country dude,
okay.
Yeah. And so I was like, man, what's he doing at Kmart down there? And I was kind of curious because I didn't know he was in town or whatever.
Yeah.
And but I was headed home, and I was like, you know what? If the next song that comes on the radio is a Doug Stone song, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop. I'm going to get off the highway. I'm going to turn around and go knock on his bus door and say hi. I am telling you, I was dumb.
Yeah.
I was dumb.
That is funny.
But guess what? The next song on the radio,
it was
a Doug Stone song. So
you kind of jinxed yourself there.
Yeah, I don't know, man. And I don't like to talk. I don't approach nobody for nothing.
Right.
But hey, the song came on the radio, so I had to.
Yeah.
Yep. So I got off the highway, went, knocked on the bus door, but I heard behind me, "Hey, what are you doing?" And turn around, there's like 4 guys coming out with shopping carts from Kmart.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I just saw the tour bus and thought I'd say hi. Like, what do you mean? What are you doing? I'm knocking on the tour bus door like an idiot.
That's great.
That's what I'm doing. And so yeah, he come down. He was on the bus, but he come down. There was a bunch of his crew or whatever, and we talked just for a couple minutes. And I was like, "What's Doug Stone doing at Kmart?" You'll never guess what he said.
What did he say?
Shopping. I mean, what else do
you do?
What else do you do at Kmart? But I was like, Doug Stone, why are you shopping at Kmart?
Yeah.
I'm like, well,
ordinary guy, man.
Just an ordinary dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's me and my interaction with famous people.
Wow.
Back when I was
a young pup.
Yep. With doing some dumb stuff. Like, why would you do that?
Two decisions that you didn't think about, but you did it. It's fun though, It's
good
memories.
Stories to tell, I guess.
Good memories.
Yeah.
We just talked about strangers and didn't even mention Hebrews 13:2.
Hebrews 13:2. What is that?
Do you want to read that?
I'll read it. It's the most famous stranger verse there is in the Bible, isn't there?
It sure is.
Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unaware. I think Doug Stone thought I was an angel.
He probably needed to talk to you.